If you're like most bluegrass banjo players, one of the first songs you ever learned was Cripple Creek. And the predominant role in that is an alternating role. Another early song most people learn is called Boil 'em Cabbage Down. And that is predominantly using a forward-backward roll. It also, on this C chord, sneaks in a forward roll. The one thing that all three of these rolls have in common is that they have 8 eighth notes when you're counting in 4/4 time. So they each take up one full measure. In this video, we're going to take a look at rolls that go beyond just one full measure. The song I use to show my students as to how this is done is Banks of the Ohio. So we first take a look at what the melody is. I asked my love to take a walk. You can hear that there's pauses between the vocal phrases. That's where we're going to fill it up with a roll. So at first we'll put our forward roll in there, but what happens is this phrase begins on beat 2, so beat 1 would remain empty. It would sound like this. Which kind of leaves a little gap in our playing. So what we'll do is we will continue that forward roll with the next logical finger, which would be the thumb hitting the 5th string. At that point it fills in the missing beat. And it sounds much more complete. We then take and extend that roll even further. This is used when the vocal phrases are even a little more sparse than they were in Banks of the Ohio. Here's John Denver's famous song. The melody is simply and we will fill that up with a roll that takes a measure and a half. All eighth notes. The roll itself would be this. And the next melody note would be this 2 on string 3. And notice I just finished an eighth note with my thumb on string 5. Therefore, I hit that note on string 3 with my index finger. Very important concept to keep things smooth. So the whole thing would sound like this. The next step is to incorporate your melody into these extended rolls rather than having them serve just as filler in between the melody notes. Here's an example with the song Circle Be Unbroken. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. We sometimes call this playing across the measure line as the roll continues into the next measure. It gives you a much smoother sound than starting a whole new roll. So Earl Scruggs was developing his famous style during the 1940s. During that period of time, big band music was popular, and one of the big famous songs was In the Mood. So we can imitate that roll as Earl did on the banjo. It lasts a measure and a half, just like the roll in Country Roads. This time the pattern goes thumb, index, middle, right from the beginning. And because it's following that big band sound, it's also being played with what we call a shuffle, or a little bit of swing, a little unevenness to it. And then there's 2 beats rest before you play the next pattern. then move up to C, back to G, D, back to G. Rather than leave those last two beats empty on the In the Mood pattern, Earl added a couple extra notes. So that goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You rest on beat 3 and you come back with and 4, index and thumb. Where you hear Earl and J.D. Crowe and others use this a lot is in their backup. So such as a song like Roll in My Sweet Baby's Arms, wherever the vocal takes a little break, you'll hear that lick. I'll roll in my sweet baby's arms. Roll in my sweet baby's arms. Lay around the shack till the mail train comes back. Roll in my sweet baby's arms. Eddie Adcock used this exact same roll to come up with this tune called Turkey Knob. The only difference being is he started on strings 4, 3, and 2 and then switched to 3, 2, and 1. So he went back and forth. There's another place in the backup where you hear these extended rolls, and I call that rolling backup. So you just keep all these notes rolling behind the singer singing. Here's the G pattern. The right-hand pattern is going to hit those exact same strings in that exact same order as you go to your various chords. You go to a C chord. When you go to a D chord, I'm usually just holding fingers 1 and 3, not the whole chord. If you're sliding back to G off your D chord, the slide would be from fret 4 instead of fret 2. Because the rolling backup pattern takes up 2 measures, when you look at a chord chart, you have to make sure that each chord lasts for 2 measures. Here's the chords for Roll in My Sweet Baby's Arms, and you can see I've circled each 2 measures, and that's where I'll put in these patterns. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Roll in my sweet baby's arms. Roll in my sweet baby's arms. Gonna lay round the shack till the mail train comes back. Roll in my sweet baby's arms.
Hopefully with this brief demonstration you're convinced that if you can learn to do some extended rolls, it will bring a new smoothness to your playing, a new drive. As we say in the business, roll on buddy, roll on.